How's it going, Guardians? Shifty here, and much like my weekly vendor video, I'm going to be doing a weekly Xur video. Now that Xur sells more than just exotics, I want to go over the weapon and armor rolls for each week. I honestly think with Season of the Lost, some of the vendor armor rolls aren't as great as they used to be. I think that's because Xur now sells legendary armor with stats hovering around 60. Anyway, before I get into my Xur video for this week, if you end up enjoying it, make sure to hit that like button, and if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Alright, so first thing is, you're going to find Xur in the Watcher's Grave on Nessus. When you do load in, you're going to find him hanging out in this tree. Now as for the exotics this week, he is selling the Hard Light Auto Rifle, which is a solid weapon all around. It's not the greatest by any means, but it's definitely fun to use in PvP and PvE. Then we have Shards of Galanor. This isn't the greatest roll of all time, but if it's better than the ones you have, I highly recommend picking them up. The same thing is going to apply to the Crest of Alpha Lupi. The roll here isn't great, and it's on an exotic that hardly ever gets used. However, Warlocks this week do have a pair of Sunbracers available at Xur. This actually is a good exotic, and I made a bottom tree Dawnblade build video using Sunbracers earlier this season. The problem here is that the three lowest stats are Recovery, Discipline, and Strength. Those are arguably the three stats you want most on Sunbracers. As always, don't forget to purchase your exotic Ingram if you have the legendary shards or an exotic cipher that you want to spend. You could always get something pretty decent. Next up, I want to go over any standout weapon rolls that Xur is selling. After that, I'm going to go over any standout armor rolls for each class. Then at the end of the video, I will be showing you all of the weapon and armor rolls. So the first weapon I want to talk about is the Dire Promise being sold. This roll has two perks that can be fun in PvP. You have high caliber rounds and swashbuckler. Then it has a mediocre PvP perk with auto loading holster. Don't get me wrong, that can be great in certain circumstances. However, it's not going to impact your gameplay as much as high caliber rounds or swashbuckler. However, I would still recommend that you pick this weapon up if you want to give it a go in PvP. Aside from PvP, this could be a fun roll to use in PvE as well. Next up, I want to talk about the Xi'an 7 rifle. Now the roll here isn't incredible by any means. It does have full auto trigger and outlaw. The reason I want to talk about this weapon is because I think it's a little bit slept on. It is a 390 RPM pulse rifle. However, it does actually do pretty well in PvP. I haven't used one recently, but a few seasons ago I was having a lot of fun using a different roll on Xi'an 7 in the Crucible. This next pulse rifle does get a little bit more fanfare. Again, this last Perdition roll is pretty solid for PvP. You have Under Pressure, which is going to improve some of your weapon stats as your magazine gets lower. And you also have Kill Clip, which will increase your damage when you reload after getting a kill. I know this has been a pretty popular Crucible pulse rifle in the past. Next up, the Hollow Words Fusion Rifle could actually be pretty fun in PvE. Here you have Lead from Gold. If you pair this with a linear fusion rifle and pair it with a dual fusion linear fusion rifle ammo scavenger from the seasonal artifact, you'll almost never run out of ammo for this weapon. Then you have Disruption Break, so when you break an enemy's shield with this weapon, they will take some extra damage from kinetic weapons for a short time. Next up, I want to talk about any notable armor rolls. The first one is for Warlocks. Xur is selling chest armor with 26 intellect, 16 recovery, and 15 resilience. The total stat here is 63, so it is a decent piece overall. I highly recommend you pick this piece up if you like having high intellect and high recovery. Most players in the game do prefer having high recovery, so this is already a solid piece. The reason being is recovery is tied to how fast you heal, and for Warlocks it's tied to your Rift cooldown. That 26 intellect is also going to help you get your super back faster. Xur is also selling a slightly more well-rounded helmet. Here you have 18 recovery, 14 intellect, 12 discipline, and 12 resilience. If you're new to the game and you have the legendary shards, I would recommend picking this piece up. It has well-rounded stats, a decent total stat, and its highest stat is recovery. Then for Titans, I would recommend the leg armor for a similar reason. It's well-rounded and has a decent total stat. The standout stats here are recovery, discipline, and intellect. Those are tied to your healing, your grenade cooldown, and your super cooldown. So if that interests you and you don't have any better armor yet, pick this up. And lastly, for hunters, I recommend the gauntlets that Xur is selling. Here you have 18 recovery and intellect, so you're going to heal faster and get your super faster, but you also have 13 discipline to get your grenade back faster, and it has 9 mobility, which is tied to the hunter dodge cooldown. Anyway, that is all I have for today's Xur video. Now I'm going to be showing off footage of all of the weapon and armor rolls. You can stick around to check that out. Otherwise, I hope that you have a good day, and I'll catch you on the next one.